Oh, hello there. Oh, hi there.
Oh,
Hi
hi.
there, ho there.
It seems like I don't want to curse it, but it seems like our tech issues are like. I know last time my computer couldn't handle playing the games, but like my video loaded. I don't look like I'm like 1 pixel, you know?
I really think you should not have said it. I feel like that's the epitome of jinxing it. If you're like, you're gonna turn into pixels in about 5 minutes, and I am.
I mean, we're both scientists. We know that's not a real thing. You can't jinx
Mm-hmm.
things. I
So
mean, we
why
did a
is the
whole
shared
episode on luck. Come on.
why is the shared chat not sharing? Can we remerge our chats? Cause
I don't
yeah,
know.
get
I have Get a Grip and Ruffle Iron. Ruffle Iron, we'll get to you in a sec. We're having an issue with the shared chat because I jinxed it.
yeah.
I jinxed our tech issues. Okay, how do I
Yeah.
unshare?
Also Zuckerberg can zuck it. I
Yeah,
agree.
I high key love that. Start sharing chat. Sorry, it wasn't shared.
There we
I
go.
just straight up wasn't. All right. Hey, let's go.
Amazing.
There you go.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we can dive right in. Raffle Iron Chef says it'll be interesting to hear what others say, but I don't really care about traditional social media. Facebook and second. What do you mean by traditional? Like, what's a
What is
non?
not
Yeah,
traditional social media?
like the heritage social media of Facebook for the old
Uh,
timers kind of thing.
yeah, that's what I was wondering. Are we like what's is this their new age social media or is there
MySpace.
like
That I mean, those are the classics. Those are the ancient
yeah.
texts. Yeah, MySpace, high key love MySpace. Top 8. I love ranking my friends.
MySpace was literally the blueprint for like oh. Oh wow.
Already?
Did she have her own microphone? That was so loud and crazy. I thought she was mic'd up, bro. That was
I think she was just
crazy.
right
Lay
behind
down.
me, and she also.
Okay.
You screamed. No one's gonna reward you for screaming. She
You're
yelled.
right. Twitch is a kind of social media. That's fair. That's super fair. Twitch is like, yeah. Because
Yeah,
if we
big
consider
time.
YouTube to be a form of social media, which I think most people do,
I mean, LinkedIn too, yeah, I guess. I mean, okay, I guess defining what we mean by social media for this conversation would be useful. And I know when I was doing my
Mm,
research that people did have like their ideas of what just internet kind of abilities were and what social media kind of is in a modern conceptualization.
yeah.
And it has a lot to do with like viewer viewed and the ability to interact. So early Facebook before likes and stuff would have been like kind of just traditional internet because you could put something out kind of one directionally
Mm-hmm.
almost, and people could post
Mm-hmm.
on your wall, but that was like an old school like forum. There was still
Yeah,
like.
but I mean, people could comment and respond.
Yeah, and I think like that's where the transitional kind of like overlap is.
Yeah,
But like at one point the early internet was just I put interesting stuff that I find,
into the
out there,
void.
and it's just out there and someone can like email me. Is email social media? No, right? Like there's I don't know. Good old blogs. Short form videos versus Twitter versus streaming. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's super fair. There's definitely I think like people get different things from those things too, right? Like they're different. Their formats are different and therefore the reward is different.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, like the big ones are TikTok, YouTube,
Mhm.
Snapchat, Instagram.
Can we also just like maybe I have a fundamental misunderstanding of what Substack is, but sorry, I'm just like looking at Ruffle Iron Chefs.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that just blogs? Like aren't we just aren't they just
So there's
blogs
supposed to
now?
be like newsletters, but there's also like an interactive feed of like mini things that you can post. That's kind of like, how you used to like put like an away message on your like AOL or on your MSN kind of
I'm
thing.
a little bit young for the AOL MSN era, but I do know what you're talking about.
So like you could change it to song lyrics. So if people want to post, and
Yeah.
now they'll post like little screenshots of a funny tweet or quotes about like the real library is the one inside our hearts where the books are your friends or some bullshit like that, right? And
Hmm.
AIM, Layla, come on.
What?
What are you whatting? need this color commentary from the gallery. The fuck? Anyways, yeah. I mean, there's obviously the research
Mhm.
that I found
Mhm.
was that there's a few really problematic ones for the mental health, especially for adolescent mental health.
Yeah. I was looking at a lot of the like I have a lot of recent articles that I was looking at, and I feel like obviously if we had done this 10 years ago, it probably would have been mostly different sites. But it was really interesting to see that like one of the ones that was being looked at in 2021 was still Facebook, which I think in
Yeah.
2021 Facebook was definitely considered like boomery even at that point.
Yeah. What was happening? What year did you just say?
2021. So it was
2021.
immediately
Oh,
after
yeah, that's
COVID
big
or
time boomery.
late
Anytime.
COVID, and TikTok had just risen at that point.
Yeah, so I'd say it was boomery like 2018.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because, I mean, a lot of stuff. I remember when Facebook bought Instagram, it essentially kind of like boosted Instagram's kind of utility and they changed a bunch of
Yeah.
like the interface and stuff like that. And you had a feed, they made the non chronological feed. Which you can kind of get back, by the way. Just like hot tip for the folks, there's a little
Oh.
icon. If you favorite or have like people that you follow and you don't want to see bullshit from other people, hold on, I think they've moved it now. Instagram. Okay, so if you click on just Instagram where it says it at the very top of like your first landing page and you click just following or favorites, then it will only show you that. And let me tell you, it is a way different experience than whatever the fucking algo has going on for me.
Only the ads are still there, presumably though. They can't.
I don't think you get sponsored posts or like you might like and
Okay.
then like weird close
Oh,
and unless
that
someone that you follow is doing a post where they're doing a sponsored thing, but I don't think like explicitly ads are there. Obviously, you still get like in between stories, you'll get an ad and stuff like that. But
hmm.
if you want to straight up not see random stuff that they're shoving into your,
AI
otherwise
slop. Yeah,
well, and
girl.
also just only giving you the stuff that you're the most likely to interact with. People talk about being shadow banned. Have people heard of that? Shadow banned?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I
Um,
feel like it became shadow banning became like a real thing
Absolutely.
when TikTok was obtained by it was like a Trump supporter and it was like those first few days
Yeah.
I remember everybody who was like left leaning on TikTok was like I have been getting zero views on any of my stuff and that is like I was
Mm-hmm.
like okay so the algorithm is super real and we are now in
Oh, yeah. Huge.
state owned propaganda like
It's really
era.
great. Photo Chiodini says, seeing what the
Mhm.
algorithm thinks I want to see amazes me.
Yes
Uh,
it is.
my
Yes,
favorite thing is like, do you guys go in the comments when you get some unhinged shit on your algorithm and you just like pop in and
always.
see what people are saying? They're
Yes.
just like, I built this algorithm brick by brick. That's usually what I get on like zany shit.
I feel like I will go into I'm like watching something and I'm like, did anybody else think that like that was like a like they're like making yams or something and then it's
Yeah.
like did anyone else think that that was like a massive penis and I go in and it's like the entire comment
Yeah.
section is like
Yeah.
what the hell was that like
The comment section makes me realize I've never had an original thought in my entire existence. Like, not once.
yeah
I'm
I
just
know
like,
that's
everyone's already done it.
super fair
I made
super
one
fair
comment on this dog that was just going ape shit on this little like twig. It was like a Pomeranian, so it was like doing the little like little dog angry thing where it's like, "Rrr." And it just looked like a ball of like fuzz, and it looked like one of those mops or like one of the big brooms with all the tassels and stuff. And I just put, "Why is your mop
okay
so upset?" And I got lots of likes on that comment on some random
dead
person's thing. So that's my 15 minutes of
you feel
fame.
super validated
I mean, yeah, yeah, I do. Um, I love fascism. I assume that there's a heavy dose of sarcasm.
social media equals foe. I
Yeah,
mean,
honestly, high roller, you're right.
yeah. I
Welcome.
feel like we all there is an aspect of it that we're all like, oh, like look at all these benefits because we all want to keep using it. So we keep being like, oh, there's
Yes.
some benefits, but I feel like for the most part, we've watched it slowly, like one change all of our brain chemistry, but
Yeah.
then two also just like alter how society functions, right? Through like misinformation. So yeah, absolutely, definitely faux. Probably definitely faux.
Well, okay, so I think a couple of things are at play here. Number one, like you can acknowledge utility of a thing and also acknowledge that lots of the utility you can get out of it you can get in other places. And
Yeah.
that just saying that this happens to have utility doesn't mean that it's the best way or the most entertaining way or anything like that. This just happens to be the most highly engineered to keep us using that way.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think when it comes to development and adolescence and childhood and social media, that uniformly across the board there is far 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 more detriments than there are benefits. Like people are like, oh, they the only one I have some research that I found like good stuff about it,
Yeah.
but for the most part it's for individuals that don't otherwise have community easily accessible to them, like LGBTQ individuals and stuff like that.
That's super fair. Yeah. I think
Is there a way to turn your mic up a little bit?
Absolutely.
um I'm loving this like commentary in the chat about techno feudalism. Technoligarchy.
Yeah, technoligarchy, I like that.
Yes. I think that's like definitely that's I was gonna say, I think part of the reason that we obviously I always say this, but like it's these tools which could be super efficacious. And I mean,
Yeah.
there is obviously an inherently addicting aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So take that as you will, but like it's if it's in the wrong people's hands, it's always going to be its worst version. And I think, for
Absolutely.
instance, X being taken over by like Elon Musk has been like a really huge wake up call for a lot of people
Yeah.
about like how poorly these tools, and that is why Blue Sky has essentially come up, because it's like going back to like OG Twitter essentially. And I think believe it
Yeah.
was actually created by Jack Dorsey, who was the original creator of Twitter.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of people like someone asked earlier about Twitter. Did someone say something about Twitter or is that in my head? Blue Sky.
Well,
Someone asked
you
about Blue
mentioned
Sky.
academic Twitter, so yeah.
Right. So I used to be on academic Twitter and honestly it was useful, but it sucked. It was like the worst combination of like yeah, social media, but it was basically go get ripped to shreds by better known people in your field or the wider field or have some commentary about publishing or whatever, and it was just like kind of a academic circle jerk of people either like bitching or clawing each other's eyes out and like getting in these like groups, I guess. Polarizing. It was polarizing.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of had to if you wanted to be like a successful real you know, in skin in the game kind of academic and, stay up to date with the modern age. But then when Elon Musk took it over, they left en masse. And I
Yeah.
left and just never went to Blue Sky. And I was like, great. And my excuse for not being on academic Twitter is I refuse to support that piece of shit, in any
Mm-hmm.
way. So, but.
Yeah. I literally did not. This is how unplugged I am sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, I
You're more of a
think I
boomer
have
than
my
I am in some ways, and I am like 10
I'm
years
dead.
older than you.
I think I have my finger on the culture, and then I'm like, I do not. Um I didn't find out Blue Sky was a thing until 3 months ago when I was applying, or I got accepted
I'm sorry,
into
what?
literally, yes.
How?
Seriously. I mean, it's only existed for 2 years, so
Is
like
that
cut
really
me some
only
slack.
two? Is that
Yeah,
real
it was only
math?
created. Yeah, I don't think it was created in like, I don't know, 2023, 2024 or something like that. It's not that been that long.
I'm gonna fact check
Let's go
you,
look it
but
up.
yeah, let's. We're women of science. What was there? There was another one that was named after a dinosaur. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It was like
Okay.
pterodactyl or something.
Oh yeah, it officially opened to the public in 2024 because my ass was definitely not getting
Oh,
invited in
oh
2023.
right. Okay. Roll back. I see what you mean. Yes. Because a bunch of people were talking about being on it when it was invite only, and people on Twitter were asking for Blue Sky invites, and there was like a whole thing in the academic bullshit there too when it was
Interesting.
invite
Okay.
only. This was when I was still back in Calgary, if I remember correctly, or just after I moved.
You were in Montreal in 2018,
I
so
know. That's why I think like
it
in.
it technically it says it began in 2019 as a research initiative,
Okay, that makes more sense.
and then it became
That
an
tracks.
independent company 2021 and then 2023. So
That tracks.
maybe, and I do think it was supposed to be like more liberally like oriented, so it's very possible that you heard about it through those type of channels earlier.
100%. Well, it was whenever Elon Musk bought Twitter, I think, is a whole bunch of people were like, "Nah, I'm not for it." And
When, but that was not that long ago. That was only like 5 years ago. I'm pretty
I
sure.
think this is all right around the kind of 2019 time.
Yeah, 2020, everything crashed over,
Yeah.
crashed down around us. When did Elon buy motherfucking Twitter?
It was when he was dating Grimes, right?
2022.
Yeah.
So then that's what I think that was when the mass exodus happened, obviously.
I mean, it all kind of blends together, realistically, for me. That like one social media, I used to be on Snapchat and have streaks with people, and then we what was the one that we were doing there for a bit? Be Real. You remember Be Real?
Oh yeah, I was trying to live my most Gen Z life with that app, and I just like gave up because I was like, well, this is the thing. I'm like, it's that notification for Be Real would always. So Be Real. I don't know if anyone is not familiar here. I will
Yeah,
explain for
explain Be
those
Real.
who are not in the loop. Essentially, it was supposed, and I still know, yeah, like some young people who are still on this app, but it's kind of like Snapchat in a way that you just like. It's primarily phone, like photo based
Yeah.
communication, but you would get a notification at like a random time of day
Mm-hmm.
every day, and it was supposed to sort of be this juxtaposition to like Instagram where you post your best photos and your best photos of your trip and you're like everybody's living the
To
high
really
life. It's
curate
supposed to,
it.
yes, this is supposed to be like, what are you doing on the daily? But like
Mm-hmm.
most of the notifications I would get would be at like 7 p.m. when I'm sitting on my couch in my house. And so
Yeah.
I was just taking pictures of my living room. And
Yeah.
half the time it was dirty AF and I didn't want to put that on social media. So I was like, I don't need this app in my life. This is making my life
Yeah.
more difficult. I have to
I
go
think
clean
that
my
was
living
kind of
room.
the point, though, is they wanted people to show their, actual lives, which is
Yes.
we all be in the couch or in the couch on the couch watching Netflix in our jammies, and no one's posting that, and I think that's what they wanted people to do, and then they just realized that like the upward comparison that's kind of like baked into most of the social medias is kind of a little bit what people are there for. So
Yeah,
no
yeah.
one wants a social media for their shit part of life.
Yeah, I mean, if I was like walking down the street and there was going to be some variability in the types of photos I was
Yeah.
taking, sure. But I mean, if it's just going to be my living room
Right.
10 days in a row, it's like, what is the
Yeah.
point?
Welcome in, Old Man Felonious. You don't
Hello,
understand our
hello.
pinned question. Seems like it's pretty settled. The or the question on my stream title, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Not has it shaped it for better or worse. How has it shaped you?
Yeah.
Right? Because, yeah, there's some of us who I think your age is really indicative of how much it's shaped you, right? There's a lot of people with like really high internet literacy who are younger and who grew up with this stuff. And I think like like that late millennial generation who were like in middle and high school when this stuff started to become really popular have really good internet literacy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like we can never imagine going off of the apps, and if we're going to go off the apps we have to announce on social media
Yeah,
that we're
that you're not going to be
taking a
there.
break.
You haven't died.
Yes, taking a break from social media. But then there's older people who used it and like connected with their like, people from like high school that they hadn't
Mm-hmm.
seen in 10, 20 years maybe.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily believe it to be like essential, but then if they do, like those who do use it probably don't have great
Yeah.
internet literacy around it. So I feel like it affects people differently, right?
Yeah. Um, you like Vulgar Science's friend and foe in your stream
Yeah,
title?
sorry.
I love
Yeah,
that.
my title is not friend or foe. It's friend and foe, question mark.
5 stream streak, Old Man Felonious. You're the best.
Oh,
Thank you so much for being here. Genuinely, especially, like, not that we don't love our newer viewers. Newer viewers? I don't know.
new
Poet, didn't know
reviewers.
it. But especially people that are here even though we took a 2-year hiatus.
Yes.
Like,
And then come back we really
we love
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, we big time love you. Thank you so much for being here. Um, yeah, so I mean, regarding the people that grew up not knowing a world without it,
Mm-hmm.
according to what I was able to find, that's the worst outcomes we should be
Yes.
expecting. Like,
100%.
far and away.
The kids are not all right,
The
as they
kids are
say.
not fucking all right. They're super
Yeah.
not all right. The kids are fucked. Like, here's the other thing. The kids are currently fucked, but they are unfuckable. Like, messed up. Okay. Let's back up. I don't. They're fucked up.
Alicia, near Alicia quote, the kids are unfuckable.
They are though. So I mean, just I don't even know.
They can get unfucked up.
They can be repaired. The kids can be made okay again. They can be all right. Anyways, the internet literacy thing I think is really important because being online does not beget online literacy.
That's super fair. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I I think that there's some legislation that's being passed in like Florida of all places. And a couple of other states are moving towards it, and certain countries in Europe, I want to say, have done this, where they are banning phones in schools. Like, just no phones at school kind of thing, which is supposed to be kind of like the most promising move towards that in high school,
Yeah.
of course, right?
I mean, it's a bit odd that is like, to me, I'm like, that's a rule now, because that was a rule when I was in school. So like, when did
Right.
it go away? And then now it's
Yeah.
coming back. Like,
Apparently, there was like a thing, I think, in the Bloomberg era of New York where there was like a little like van where you would check in your phone before you went to school and then like check it out at the end of the day kind of thing.
interesting.
Because the idea is, even if they're not allowed, they're like de facto going to be everywhere all the time, because all you have to do is pretend you're reading a textbook, right, and have your phone there. Like,
Yeah.
you could be watching YouTube. No one's going to stop. Especially with the size of classrooms nowadays. I mean, there's no possible way to monitor that. And then in between, and like if you have a spare, or I don't know what you guys call it, like a free period, you're not going to be able to control what they're doing then, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Back in my day, we snuck reading books under the desk.
Back in my day, we uploaded games to our TI-83 fucking calculators so that we could play games on our calculator.
Yes, like the snake game. Yes.
I remember playing one, and this might get me canceled, called Pimp Wars. Yeah.
On the TI
On
83.
the TI-83, yes. Yeah.
Okay, and what
So
exactly
you
was the
sold
premise of the
drugs
game?
and trafficked women on your calculator. Yes, yeah. You're hearing me correctly. Okay, Role Player Chip knows what I'm talking about.
Are we sure they're not just humoring you, because
No,
hell?
girl,
So,
it's
what?
real.
There's that interface, one, not that big. Two, it's like a Game Boy, not even a Game Boy. So like, what are you
I am gonna
Girl.
find it. Drug Wars
share-
for the
do you want to
TI-83. Yeah, it's
share
there's
your
a
screen with
full-blown
me? Share your-
GitHub. I want to find screenshots of it. I want to find a way to share it with chat as well because like this
I think I
is
still have a TI-83 calculator. Holy
I
shit, I could
believe
do that.
it might even still be a web game that you can play. Pimp Wars with a Z.
I don't
Um,
even know. What do I even type in right now? Okay.
yeah, see prices. Oh my god, I remember this. You could visit a loan shark.
Stop.
No.
What?
Okay, I need to find a screenshot of it. It's so funny. Stop this right now.
But were there little people or were you just like it was mostly like a word-based game where you were like
I don't
counting your
remember. I
money?
feel like there was like some basic like kind of animation, like like a Tamagotchi would be like animated. You could like
Yeah.
play ball with it, and it would do like two things. Okay, yeah. The internet doesn't quite want to
Oh.
give me what I'm talking about.
Apparently it's called Drug Wars. And somebody in the chat even said Drug Wars was better, but it wasn't as good as Drug Wars.
I feel like there was both, but that's okay.
Pigs broke
Um,
up a drug ring at Green. Okay, so okay, I understand now. So it's like those words like this just happened to you. Got it.
yeah, it's
Okay.
kind of like a choose your own adventure drug. You learn to become a
Xanax and Vicodin are outrageous price. That's crazy. Also, yeah, the trench coat is geeking the shit out of me. Somebody
yeah
also completely misspelled trench coat.
yeah really like this Pimp Wars. So don't know why I
Wow.
was talking about that. Oh right, because the phones in school didn't have them. Um, has anyone heard of besides Layla? Has anyone heard of the concept of like a sensitive period? Do we know what that is? Because like that's really important for lots
Mm-hmm.
of things. Like if you've heard of, there was a child in the 60s, I want to say, called Jeannie that was severely neglected by their parents and missed
Mm-hmm.
the critical window to learn language. So even though they lived to be 30 something, I want to say, they never learned how to speak, even though they were essentially locked in a closet. It's a tragic story, and sorry, content warning for those of you that are sensitive to that sort of thing. If you care to, you can look up Jeannie. But essentially, she was locked in a closet during the time that you would be learning language and barely, just kept alive at the most basic level, but not interacted with enough to learn anything other than
Mm-hmm.
what you would know as a baby, like, ooh, ooh. And they tried to teach her language as someone with a fully formed brain, but in absence of the critical feedback that you need coming in, your brain
Mm-hmm.
doesn't just spontaneously generate these abilities. And those sensitive periods happen at various points in life. Of course, one of which is puberty, which happens at varying times for boys and for girls. And, there's other genders and stuff like that. But broad strokes, if you're on social media ubiquitously during your kind of pubertal developmental years, particularly as a young girl, you're more or less hooped. Like it's so diabolically bad for their mental health. There's like
You said for girls specifically?
for girls specifically, something
Interesting.
like 15% of girls like have engaged in self-harm, just like correlationally with their Instagram use. Like they're that much more
Wow.
likely. It's crazy. The amount of just anxiety that's associated with it. Young
Mm-hmm.
boys also have bad knock-on effects, but it's more about aggression
Mm-hmm.
and attention span and impulsivity. So the hypothesis of this the person that I was following most on this particular part of the research was Jonathan Haidt, I want to say is his name. I typed it in chat. And I forget what I was saying, but in any event, it's
Oh
really
my
bad,
god.
particularly for
Wait, like this is the former UVA prof guy, right?
I don't know. he wrote The Anxious Generation, the like book that came out
Yes.
relatively
I
recently.
literally own a book by him in our house called The Righteous Mind, and it's about
Yeah.
conservative thought patterns versus
Yeah.
sorry. Anyways, that was just very random. Continue with what you're saying, Alicia.
No, that's okay.
Hmm.
His takes are a little bit tilted in some ways from my perspective. He focuses a lot on, a gender binary and that sort of thing, but he's very like
Yeah.
anti Facebook and stuff like that. So I'm like with him on that. Um,
Yeah, he definitely has a point of view where he's writing from. It's very.
well, and his thesis at the
Mhm.
beginning of this book is that young kids are being coddled too much. Like we're too worried about child safety, and I'm like, oh, are we? Are we too worried?
Yeah, and then the Epstein files came out, and we're like, oops.
Yeah. So I was like, I think maybe, and I haven't read the book. So full disclosure, this is just what he's
Hmm.
reporting verbally when I listened to two podcasts that he was on. But his take is that, and this I can kind of buy into, in our generation and earlier, there was the likelihood that you were going to be interacting with other children in a shared space or in someone else's private space, like, your friend's home,
Hmm.
that was a pretty high likelihood. And so when you were being raised in community with other people, and you were going through puberty in the way that most global cultures would do that, in that you are being surrounded by other adults or near adults that you identify with, and learning how to be an adult from them. And now you're learning how to be an adult kind of in a prescriptive way where you're only getting kind of one side of it. So you don't see maybe your friend's older sister having a meltdown because of her partner, cheating on her or something like that, and see her
Hmm.
mascara running. And I'm veering into stereotype here, but, for effect, you don't see someone crying over an episode of Blossom. You only see them going, tee hee, I went to Disneyland today, or whatever the fuck. So his idea is that this kind of lack of exposure to essentially threat and real life has made it so that the brains and abilities of the people that were raised online are not equipped to deal with day-to-day reality, which I can kind of buy.
Yeah, like I agree with that to a point, right? Because I think you and I reference this a lot, sometimes on stream, sometimes just in general life. But Alicia and I took this class together when we were in in school together. We were doing our degrees, and there it was led by a neuroscientist. His name is Ollie Hart,
Mm-hmm.
and he talks about sort of the we talked a lot about sort of like the animal brain that we
Yeah.
humans have and how that applies, how those like concepts and the way that we study rodents and these things can actually be applied to real life, because so much of what we experience in our day to day is like constructed, right? Like it's
Absolutely, yeah.
not it is reality obviously, but it's this weird human reality that we have created which does not sort of mesh well with our animal brain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, I remember that vividly as well. Ollie's such a
Yeah.
creative, he's such a good thinker, for lack of a
Yes,
better term.
exactly.
Like, I think zooming out is really important when we talk about like how
Hmm.
we study things, how we think about our own minds and that sort of thing, without getting too esoteric when we're supposed to be talking about social media and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It is kind of important to realize the effect that other people's minds and the way that you experience other people's minds has an impact on the way that you're raised. Because if I'm experiencing your mind by showing you my diary and we're tee-hee and kicking our legs in the air at a literal in
Yes.
real life sleepover, and that's how I'm sharing my mind with you, that's very different from, you know, even a really intimate text back and forth where you're, you know, bearing your soul. You don't get any, you know, visual feedback of their face. You don't get eye contact. You don't get to hug them if they're not okay. Like, there's just, you can get access to even potentially more detail about their self-reported thoughts, but you don't necessarily get to read whether or not it seems like they're lying, or seems like they're holding
Mm-hmm.
something back, or seems like they're exaggerating, or, you know, some other bullshit like that. And necessarily you can't get that even through a video chat like this. You
Yeah.
cannot make eye contact. I think I mentioned that in one of our things here. But if I'm looking at the camera, I can't look at where your eyes are on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look at where your eyes are on the screen, then I'm not looking in the camera. So we cannot make eye contact, which explains the Gen Z stare, I think, a little bit.
Dead. Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chat has some stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
AI
Talking about like
sympathy.
sycophancy
Yeah,
with like
absolutely. I think that
um
that's kind of like a whole other beast, AI and sycophancy. And of course, we
mm-hmm.
had our AI stream and stuff like that, which is a little bit tied into this. But one of the things that I shared with this Jonathan Haidt guy's perspective is
Mm-hmm.
we won't know the effects of what's happening right now data wise, like the true knock on or knock off effects on our mental health or anything, for another decade. And by the time that decade has expired, we're going to have chips in our fucking brains. Like, just things are moving so much faster that
Yes, yeah.
our literal, even our best research can't keep up, especially without incorporating the technology that we're trying to critique, which has its own built-in confound,
Yeah.
right?
No, I completely agree. I think that is one, like, I think it's, there's so many factors. Like, we talk about the anxious generation, and we
Yeah.
can, sure, blame it on social media, but I think we have to blame it. Oh, would you
Cat
like to
says,
see a
"Here's my
cat?
asshole."
Little cat butthole. Oh, yes, thank you very much. You're really enjoying. Oh, okay. Yes, he also put it up to the mic for fun.
Yeah, Raffle Iron
Um,
Chef says, "I don't know if y'all are real doctors. This could be a long con. You don't know if I'm a real chatter." I mean, that's so true. That's so true. And that is a limitation of this social media that just frankly, like, if we were in a literary salon in, like, you know, 17th
yeah.
century France, I'd be able to be like, "Oh, Raffle Iron Chef, great point, excellent. Layla, what do you have to say?"
Raffle Iron Chef, that's your legal name, right?
It's your government name. Show me the
um,
papers.
yeah, so 100%. And I think like things are moving. Our animal brains cannot conceptualize how fast things are moving, and
Absolutely.
social media has us plugged in all of the time because we think we want to be plugged in all the time because, and we can talk. This is something that we've talked about previously about like I feel like you think of dopamine signaling because of your addiction
Oh, of
research
course.
differently
Yeah.
than it's used in the vernacular. So
A
I think you could
hundred
probably like
percent. Oh, it
little
drives me up the fucking wall. But anyways,
but like because everyone's looking for a dopamine hit, I'll use that in a,
sure. Yeah.
a colloquial sense.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and we're constantly getting and I don't know, I remember talking to one of my parents and being like, was it always this bad? Like were you guys always this depressed like and sad? Like we're I feel like I think about my generation being the millennial generation at the very end of millennials.
Yeah.
Um of like has shit always sucked this much? Because like we went, you know, we grew up. Then there was like the in the U.S. at least there was like the financial crisis.
Yeah. The '08
Then
recession
you
and
know
the other
Trump got
one.
elected. Then we had the like COVID, the global pandemic. So I mean, like I was like, is it just like has it always just been crisis after crisis? Is that like? And I just remember her being like, I just don't think we knew about it. Like you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they weren't plugged into the news all the
Yep.
time the way that we are kind of forced to be in this internet generation. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a really good point. And I don't. I mean, they had a whole ass two world wars, I suppose, in previous generations. But like you said, this is again, maybe getting a little bit, philosophical with it, but Marshall McLuhan, who's a media theorist, has said the famous quote of "the medium is the message," right? So when both the world wars were happening, the most advanced way to listen to each other was by telegram, I think, or radio, like the famous speech that Winston Churchill did. So the way that it's less about what we're actually watching and doing online and more about the fact that the main way that we interact with people now is online and through video chat. Like, just the majority, even if I could have an in-person meeting with people because they're like in my lab or in the lab next door, most of the time it's online. Like, we could be in the same space, but we just aren't, because that's no longer the main medium, right? And I think that's maybe where this kind of all starts to get a little bit hairy, because there's short form video content, and that's psychotic to expect someone's brain to keep up with that, especially their little lizard brain that's like Barry or Tiger. I'm gonna bring it into every single stream.
Well, I think that our lizard brains have become fried. And so I think, like, we talk about, I feel like there's so many conversations about people getting diagnosed with like ADHD these days.
Absolutely.
And I think, I hate to be like, so yes, people became more aware of ADHD and therefore like those diagnosis rates went up. However, I also think that there is an aspect in that people are like starting to get more ADHD like symptoms because of the fact that like we are frying our brains using social media. And so it's like, I think that is going to sort of go up exponentially, because people are going 100%. To sort of lose the ability to like plan, process all these things, one, between AI, but then two, also with like just us, our attention spans are getting fried. Also, Raffle Iron Chef said something earlier that I wanted to address, that he was, we would be fun as hell to smoke weed with. That's a huge compliment, in my opinion. Thank you very much.
Dream blunt rotation or something? That's what the kids say, right?
What?
Dream blunt rotation? Or
Dream blunt rotation. Nightmare blunt rotation. I love that. The opposites, Yes. Sorry, my cat is in here in my lap begging for my attention. Brief golden age, suckage and more suckage. Congratulations on your best friend being a father, but yes, the pace of life definitely has accelerated. Yeah, shit sucks, it feels like. Obviously, I think that's what this chat is saying for the most part.
There's an environmental component to avoidant attachment ADHD for sure. That's actually a really good point. Maybe we should do an episode on attachment disorders, or like the attachment theory, if you will.
To avoid there's an environmental component. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's super fair.
Felonius says, I think about the media is the message a lot when I consider the impact that social media is having. I suspect we're moving to a brave new world where we're just going to be going straight to AI and skipping social media interactions with people and bots altogether. Yeah, that is kind of the frontier that we're facing right now that researchers will have to reconcile with, right? Like,
yeah.
You're not.
Well, I guess we're gonna find out. Sorry. No, you go. I cut you off.
I think I cut you off.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think we're gonna find out if Aldous Huxley or George Orwell is winning out essentially pretty soon, because Brave New World or 1984, we're headed towards both of those dystopian futures. It feels like at lightning speed.
Scary shit. Genuinely scary shit. I think I think that's the scariest thing, is that, not only are there no third spaces for people to go to.
Define third spaces.
So third spaces are places that are not home or work. That's it. So there used to be, like people would gather in cafes, malls. Most malls are dead. Dead mall is a thing, right?
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, community, like, skating rinks and shit like that. And it's not that these places don't exist at all anymore. It's that proportionally there's far fewer of them. They're
Yeah.
far less accessible,
Yeah.
i.e., they cost money,
Mm-hmm.
or more money than they used to, or they're
Mm-hmm.
further away, or they're
Mm-hmm.
more segregated, whether by age, gender, race, ethnicity, you name it. And not having those spaces makes it so that the digital third space becomes the de facto, like, oh well, I can't, it's this time of night, so I can't go to, I don't know, a cafe or something like that. Even if I
Mm-hmm.
would go to a cafe, there's probably proportionately less of them, and they're less accessible because you have to spend $8 to get on the Wi-Fi there. To get the Wi-Fi password, you have to make a purchase, that kind of bullshit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
fair.
that you would default to just going online. And why wouldn't you, frankly? It's an accessibility thing. And
It's in your
there's,
house. Yeah.
right, well, and now there's this emerging trend where the more privileged individuals are the ones whose kids don't have access to smartphones and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And what used to be like the rich kids, the privileged kids would have cell
Had
phones
the
and the
phone.
non-privileged ones wouldn't. The tech oligarchs were like, let's get a laptop in every house in America. And we were all like, yeah, access
Yes.
to internet for information and education.
Yes.
And then it was like,
And
uh-oh.
cyberbullying.
Right. So now all of these people have access to the necessity that is your
Yeah.
phone. Like if you want to order a taxi or anything like that, you don't do that anymore. You order an Uber, right? And so like if you want, to be able to get places as a young
Mm-hmm.
person or have access, like you have to have one. You
Yeah.
just straight up have to. It's fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know we're like expanding outside of social media now, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
there is a part of me that's also just like, it's also tied into like consumerism and capitalism, right? Because everything is moving in this technological direction. Everyone wants to, again, I live in Silicon Valley now, so like
Yeah.
everything's an app and it makes me absolutely insane
Yeah.
because I have an iPhone 11 that I've been clinging to since 2020 and it's slowly running out of space on it. And I'm like, I cannot download anymore. I had to download an app to get into my house. My doorknob is an app now. Don't love that. Yes. And all of the doorknobs in our apartment complex are now tied to this app. And I'm just like,
I cannot
really?
deal with that. I
Yeah,
I
it's crazy.
I can't describe how much I hate that, actually. You can't use a door? Talk about over engineering something.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
ma'am,
it's a
we had
like we
doors
have
and
a code.
keys. And, like,
Yes, we have a code, and there's like we don't have keys anymore. We have a digital code, and I'm like, what happens if the battery dies? And I essentially like had to at the very beginning of this like troubleshoot and be like, okay, like my phone is old. It usually dies
yeah.
around the time I'm getting home from work, so I need to memorize this code to get into my house because I'm not going to be able to get into my own
Lord in
house.
heaven. No fucking way. I get it. Okay,
Isn't
so
that
like
crazy? Isn't that
you lose your
crazy?
keys. Like I remember like the keypad door lock thing. Like my mom's got one on her house, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, great. Because I used to lose my keys all the time as a young person. I was like, great. That solves that problem. But
Mm-hmm.
there should still be the option to just use a normal key. Like you can have it both ways. Why are we acting
I
like you
know.
can't have it both ways? I just
I know.
simply and the reason you hit the nail on the head, the reason is capitalism. The reason is if you
Yeah.
get this app, then someone gets $1 and some investor gets return, and
Yeah.
yep, that's the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fuck.
And
Yeah.
that makes me lose dopamine, not gain it. Okay, so you give us your maybe a hot take, maybe a cold take perspective on, is it really dopamine that's driving our addiction to social media, or is that just what everybody says
Oh,
essentially? Because
100%
that's
it's
the
dopamine. It's just
okay.
not that it's pleasurable. Like, if you ask kids, especially, if they enjoy TikTok, they're like, not really. But it's all there's nothing else to do. I get bored if I'm not on there. And that's because your brain has been, in lots of cases, especially in the heavy users, programmed to react to things in a way you are actually programming your algorithm, right? You're teaching it what
Yeah.
things you sit on for longer, and then it's
Yeah.
like, give them more of that. And your brain goes, ah, more of the thing I watched for 10 seconds instead of 5. Great. And then if you start to be like, me saturated, me satiated, I'm not hungry for that content anymore,
Hmm.
then the algorithm will adapt to whatever your new craving is. And all of that is absolutely driven by dopamine. The main thing that is the hot take that just should be known by everybody but isn't is that it's
Hmm.
not necessarily pleasurable. You can have dopamine to fuck and
Yeah.
not be having a good time at all. In fact, most of the time that your dopamine's doing stuff, it's not because you're having a good time. You don't only get dopamine when you nut and eat and fucking, win a prize. You get dopamine
Yeah.
when you have a sip of water, and you get a bigger dopamine hit when you have a sip of water when you're really thirsty. And
Hmm.
that it's a teaching signal, it's a learning signal in a lot of ways that teaches you, what to move towards and what to move away from. And your dopamine system can actually even encode negative valence. We talked about valence last time. Valence
Yes.
being the
Yeah.
goodness or badness of a
Goodness
thing,
of something. Yeah.
because it's not just a little like switch or like a thing that turns on only when good things happen in isolation from everything else. The dopamine system is tied to your fear system, which is tied to your frontal lobe. So there's all of these kind of polysynaptic, we call it, interactions of things where you can have your dopamine going off the wall for something that's frankly very bad for you and is
Hmm.
not enjoyable and is shitty. And whoops, we made addiction, and that's why people
Yeah.
are, addicted to gambling or drugs or caffeine or whatever the hell you can
Hmm.
think of. You can be addicted to virtually anything if you
Yeah.
have enough aberrant dopamine signaling.
Yeah. I mean, and if you, in the same way that I think we've talked about this on stream before, where you like build up, yeah, we talked about it last week with like opioid use, where
Oh,
you
yeah.
build up tolerance to something, right? And your
Right.
body is used to getting this amount of dopamine from that. Like, this is very, I mean, that is why the symptoms are very similar to like an ADHD diagnosis, because if it is
Absolutely.
dopamine signaling, that is like ADHD people are dopamine deficient essentially, and that is like
Yeah,
similar
that's.
mechanism maybe.
I haven't looked into the literature in a while, but I know that
Mhm.
that's kind of a
The theory.
true oversimplification, though. Like it's a true
Yes.
thing. What you said
100.
is true, but it's a gross oversimplification that isn't that they're dopamine void. It's that they require a different threshold. So it's kind of like pain
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Individuals have different thresholds for what they require to make the thing go. And
Yeah.
because dopamine is a motivational signal, you can see the ties to why someone that has a motivational disorder such as ADHD would be, void of normal dopamine signaling,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But it's not that
And
they
I
don't
don't
have
know.
it. You would die without it. That's Parkinson's. Parkinson's
Yeah.
has that's
That yes.
yeah. So
100%. I did want to actually ask though. I know that like we're talking a little bit around some, and I feel like a little bit of what we're talking about. I've seen bits and pieces of this on social media, but I don't know has research caught up to this? Like, do we have evidence specifically that talks about this dopamine signaling and ADHD like symptomatology and overuse of social media? Is that just like,
okay, slight can of worms that I will try and keep absolutely as brief as possible because I could wax
mm,
poetic is you can't measure dopamine directly in the organisms that would have the symptomatology that you're describing. We cannot measure dopamine
mm-hmm,
directly in a human being because the methods that can measure dopamine directly are not ethically applicable because they're much more invasive. We can measure things as a proxy for what we presume is dopamine signaling, such as fMRI of signaling in an
yeah.
area that we know is dopamine rich. But we also know that there's a bunch of other shit there, and that could be
Mhm.
what's doing the voxel activation as well.
Is
So
it, sorry, is it, yeah, because dopamine doesn't, I'm forgetting, dopamine doesn't cross the blood brain barrier, right? So it's only Like, can we not get it from the blood samples then?
No, no, you can't. Well,
Got
sorry,
it. Okay.
I did a big deep dive on this relatively recently. There's a
Yeah.
way, but it's a proxy measure. The only way that you can get like live at the moment dopamine measures that I'm aware of is through something called voltammetry, where you're measuring the chemical related voltage changes of a
Yes,
local
of those
carbon fiber
neurons. Yeah. Yeah.
microelectrode that is in the actual brain tissue.
Yeah.
Um, there's also things like microdialysis and stuff, but they're all equally invasive and frequently done
Yeah.
in brain slices or in
Yeah.
anesthetized in vivo models. But suffice it to say, everything that we would be kind of presuming is
Hmm.
dopaminergic in a human model of ADHD is just that. It's a correlation. It's an assumption. It's probably a safe assumption. Don't get me wrong. Like
Yeah.
you could, we're smart people and we know, there's a reason that that's a thing that exists and that they do study dopamine in human beings because we know it's there.
Hmm.
We've looked at the histology and we know that certain areas express, receptors. You can stain for it in a human brain slice, once they're dead and stuff like that. So it's not nothing, but you can't measure it directly. And because you can't give a rat ADHD, you can only test ADHD like symptoms or, things that are associated with it, like impulsivity
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You know, we can do that, and then we can look at those guys like directly and measure those things a lot more intensively and precisely, but then you have to make the leap back to how much is that actually ADHD.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. When we talk about the variations in rodent models versus human models,
Yeah.
I always am curious about that. But I mean, for instance, like I have been at conferences recently where I don't know if anyone is familiar with like fibromyalgia, essentially, but it's like it's a widespread chronic pain. It's very, very common in like middle-aged women
Mm-hmm.
primarily, but essentially it's a diagnosis of um what's the word I'm looking for? Discrimination, essentially. So you
Mm-hmm.
just like check it's something, it's nothing else, and then at that point, once you have widespread
Oh yeah,
chronic
a
pain and
differential
it's not any other,
diagnosis.
yeah, it's not any, sorry,
A differential diagnosis.
differential. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's not any other condition, then I'm like, okay, it's probably fibro.
Mm-hmm.
But this recently has been recreated in using gut microbiota. So like
Mm-hmm.
essentially taking fecal samples from women with um, fibromyalja and transplanting it into mouse models. And
Mm-hmm.
then that has caused widespread chronic pain in those mouse
Oh,
models. So I
that's
mean, like, I feel like sometimes they
wild.
can be pretty, we can create pretty decent mouse human, like mouse to human translational models. You know what I mean? It depends.
Mm-hmm.
I do understand obviously that the dopaminergic signaling and like at that anything that's like
Stuck in the
in the
brain.
in the brain is really
Yeah.
difficult in my opinion. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's a totally different, like animal brain and human brain are totally different structures, right?
Well,
Well, rodent brain.
yes, and you were there during
Mhm.
my defense talking about rodent anxiety. Rodents can have anxiety. My dog has anxiety. Like I know that that's what that is. But
She
her
do.
flavor of anxiety is not my flavor of anxiety. She's worried about when am I going to get to play next? Can I have more food? There's a squirrel outside. There's another squirrel outside. I don't like that truck. I don't like that guy. And those sorts of
Hmm.
things. Some of
There's a
that,
biker. Bark.
yeah, there's a biker. Don't like that, But my anxiety is, am I good enough for the position that I've already earned? Should I be a better human being to my fellow man? Like,
It's very
she's not worried
existential.
about that. I have deep existential dread type
Yeah.
of anxiety that
Yeah.
requires multiple medications, and she's probably just like, I just need to chase my tennis ball for a little bit, which frankly I could probably just stand to do some like more intense exercise, and that would probably vastly help. We know that that's a real thing, but
Yeah.
you know, even if it's the same phenomena, the flavor is very different. Even
Yeah.
male to
Well, I mean,
men
like
to women, right?
rodent anxiety is primarily diagnosed through like, isn't it open room?
Kirsty sends
I
everyone
really
to
do
your
know
dog
so
so
much.
much. Honestly,
Maybe,
yeah, don't like that guy, don't like that truck was a little bit me.
yeah,
Welcome in, by the way, Kirsty sends. I love your little emote. It's very cute.
it is really cute.
You spent how much on getting women's poop samples? Yeah, when I
I
heard
know.
about fecal transplant types of therapies, I was like, wild. Can you
I
imagine?
know. I think we are planning to do an episode on like gut
Yeah,
health
that's in our
stuff
list.
because it's like very cool right now. It's very hot.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's been around long enough that there's good, like, it's not so new and cutting edge that there's like
Yes. Yeah.
inconclusive bullshit about it. There's like
Yeah.
some like solid findings, which I think is really, kind of neat.
Yeah.
Um,
Something something peptides, something something.
something peptides.
I
Keto.
saw what's his nuts? Andrew Huberman talking about peptides, and then I immediately saw one of the people I went to undergrad with who's now a doctor and SciComm person, like
Mm-hmm.
health communicator, being like, this is bullshit. And I was like, yes,
Right?
fuck them peptides.
Yeah, too. Wait, so they were calling out Huberman?
Yes, because
Love
he's
that.
just like,
Spewing
yes,
garbage? Well, I told you
yes.
about my master's supervisor going on Huberman because he ripped him to shreds on academic Twitter.
No, I
He
have
was
never
written
heard
in
this
a
story.
Rolling fucking Stone article. Okay, so not my master's supervisor, sorry. My master's, he was one of my committee advisors and is someone
Yes.
I would consider a friend.
Is this like Terry or whatever who?
No,
Different.
his name's Matt Hill, and he's like a
Okay.
huge cannabinoid researcher. So he studies weed, and you know
Love it.
that sort of thing. Anyways, he's one of the like leaders in that field, and Huberman did a little podcast, and it was one of the podcasts where he just does his own thing, like it's not a guest
Yeah.
podcast, and he
Yeah.
said some stuff that's just patently wrong. He said some stuff that
Hmm.
was like misleading, and
Hmm.
Matt went on Twitter and was like, nah. And because he was so engaged in academic Twitter, which is partially how I got indoctrinated into it
Yeah.
back in the day, um, he had enough followers that this got like some traction. And Huberman was like, come
Wow.
on the podcast. And then they went offline and arranged it. And he has since now been on his podcast. And honestly, I've listened to a decent amount of Huberman, frankly, because sometimes that's just where the experts go. And I'm like, okay, I guess gotta listen to this guy. Same with fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson. I listened to too many of his podcasts too. But that's one of the best academic podcasts I've ever heard. And he like corrects him when he's wrong. And I like that they actually did the like, hey, I disagree with what you're saying. Let's actually talk about it in a constructive
Yes.
way. Let's
Yes.
talk about
Yeah.
why that's wrong. Let's talk about why that's a misconception, which is essentially
Hmm.
what we're trying to do here. Just we have an audience of 6.
Who mostly agree with us.
Yeah.
Truly.
Which I'm fine with. And like you get an
Yeah.
audience of people usually that you agree with. That's why old Republicans
Yeah.
watch Fox News, and like
Hmm.
people don't watch things that they hate and disagree with. There is hate watching, but I mean that's
Yeah.
Euphoria season 4 for a lot of people.
Oh my god, girl.
Anyways,
What an
check out
absolutely
the
chaotic.
Matt Hill cannabinoid episode. It's so entertaining. It's
Okay.
so engaging. It's so
Does like Huberman
informative.
like kind of get his ass handed to him, or they're very like respectful
They're
scientific
pretty
dialogue?
respectful, but there's a
Okay.
couple of times that Matt's like, whoa, 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 I'm going to stop you right there because that's, like a fundamental part of this is, and he'll, kind of, I completely disagree.
I agree
These two.
100%.
Who's got the brain cell right now, boys? Who's got
Yeah,
the brain
they're
cell?
volleying it back and forth over the
Right.
internet.
Yeah, sometimes we have to share it with the dogs and the cats too, so I borrowed it last. Yeah, we were talking earlier about like the kind of socialist or anti-capitalist at the very least views of what's going on with this screen addiction, social media addiction, and I think
Yeah.
the
It,
insidiousness of it is far worse than it comes across. What were you
well,
saying?
yes, I think it was engineered in such a way early on, right? Because, it took 6, 7 years for Facebook to start running ads, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken, to essentially for us, because I think they knew from the beginning that this is where it was going.
A
Okay, sir,
hundred
you are
percent.
sliding out of my lap, and I need you to come up a little bit, okay? You gonna come up? Are you gonna try to bite me? You always try to bite me. Yes, okay, we're biting. We're biting. Sorry. The cat.
Your cat's anger is about why not give hand? Give hand.
Yeah, well, he has no anxiety. It's actually our two girls, they have traumatic early life experiences. They have anxiety and they taught him to be anxious. He used to run up to strangers when they walk through the door and now
Mm.
he hides. And I'm like,
Oh,
"Sir."
meow.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna say, yeah, they engineer it
Mhm.
in, right? Like you said, they
Yes. Yeah,
exactly 100%. They knew all along that they were going to be
do
leveraging this
this.
for
Come
revenue.
here.
Like I believe 0% that that wasn't part of it from the get go for every single social media platform that has ever existed that I'm familiar with, at least. And
Mhm.
I think the thing is, they build in this kind of habitual engagement with the people that are going to kind of not know how to deal without it. And so that's the way they get their information. They watch YouTube videos, they watch,
Yeah.
the joke now is, oh, I read an article and it's like, did you watch a TikTok?
I watched it too, yeah,
You
literally.
watched a TikTok, read an article, my ass. Um,
I saw
Anyways,
something somewhere. Could have
yeah,
been.
exactly. But the idea is that building this kind of dependence on social media makes it kind of like a requirement for modern life, and by doing that, it kind of makes it so that it's a more lucrative thing for a labor force to want to do because they know that's where captive attention is, right?
Yeah.
So they don't even have to generate the content that they're addicting people to. They can actually hoodwink the people they've already hoodwinked
Hmm.
into creating the content for them and tell them that they're going to get rich and famous doing it and pay them like zero point
True.
zero 0.03 cents on the
Influencers.
fucking dollar when they could afford to pay them in a much more equitable fashion. And
Yeah.
YouTube apparently pays creators really well compared to other platforms.
Yeah.
But if they weren't concerned with return on investment for, the people that sit in the executive suite, then they probably could pay them even more. But the point is, all they're doing is paying for the hosting and the keeping the lights on. The people at Google don't make the content that we are looking for on Google. They just connect the
Yeah.
dots. They're the middleman. And
That's like super fair. That's like that was where the model for AI came from. They said, we're just gonna content farm and like intellectual property farm,
yeah,
and literally.
yeah, well, and extort the goodwill that was early internet when people used to put all their
Yeah.
thoughts online. Like people used to have
Yeah.
blogs and diary land, and you would share it with your friends, and you would update and tell people like, Alicia's eating noodles. Like when there used to be the apostrophe S on Facebook. Does anybody else remember that? When like, or it said is. Like Alicia is, and then there was like the
Oh
great day
yes,
that they removed the is,
yes, I remember that
and now
actually.
there's no such thing as Facebook statuses, is there? People don't
Well,
say
actually,
that they're.
they didn't it originally change. It was like a drop down. At one point, it was a drop down menu, and it was like is feeling, is something, right? And you could like change the function.
Yes, something
Maybe,
like
maybe I'm thinking of something.
that.
Maybe I'm thinking.
I think it was probably both at some point because it went from like non-existent and you were poking people to rudimentary
Yes.
status updates to more advanced status updates with emojis to likes to
Speaking of poking people, bro, they brought back the fucking poke button and it got me the other day. I was looking at somebody that I
I
used to
don't think
know
I've
in
seen this.
undergrad. They like had a video of like, I don't know, the chain smokers performing or something like that.
Yeah.
And I went to go to their profile. I was like, oh, what are they up to? And then accidentally hit the fucking poke button that happened to be on the right hand side of their profile. This happened like 5 days ago. And I was like
Do I have
immediately in
a
my
poke
messages being
button?
like, I am so sorry. That is so.
I have to
Why
see
did
if I
they
have.
bring back the why is the poke button back?
Do you want
Who
to know
did
why,
this?
Layla? Do you want to know fucking why? For the nostalgia. They're nostalgia baiting people back to Facebook because
The
Facebook has been
fucking
so fucking.
poke.
It's irrelevant now, except for to the fucking boomers. So they're trying to bring back the millennials that remember the poke and be like, ha ha ha, and get you on there, even just to joke poke. Hey. Any of
Joke
your
poke.
old friends, and then if you're on there for 3 seconds, even if only 1 million of their users do this, and only half of that million watch an ad and click on it, and then half of that 500,000, 250,000 maybe make a purchase and generate revenue, like that's all that needs to happen. That's why they
Yeah,
brought
I
it back.
know.
I guarantee
Mhm.
it. Sorry, I got upset. I don't like that guy. I don't like that
I know.
truck. I don't like that guy.
I don't like that biker. I don't like that truck. I don't like that guy.
You
There's a
poked an
squirrel.
X? No, you didn't.
I mean, I don't refer to him as an
That's
X.
so messy. I love it.
Relax.
Good old live journal, complex online communication. I hardly knew thee. Legit. Okay, where's the poke button? Do I have to like look up someone that I haven't spoken to in a long time?
I have no idea, honestly. I don't know if that their profile just happens to have, but I literally was like, what in the hell? Why is there a fucking, why did I even arrive on a poke button?
Ew, okay.
Let me go to like somebody we know.
I don't think I have a poke button, my friend.
Oh no, it's there. I just went to your partners and it's right there on the right hand side of the page.
Now, what? Do I have to go to their profile? I
Yes,
don't think
it's
I
on
have
like on.
poke. Is it an Android thing? You have an iPhone. Maybe my Android.
Yeah,
doesn't have
maybe
poke.
it's a phone difference. I have no
Oh,
idea.
there it is. Okay. Why didn't it show up on the other one? Huh. Poke. That's preposterous. Okay. Well,
That's preposterous. You're so funny. Yeah, it's the nostalgia baiting. I'm totally there with you. I think that's also what it is. I like completely agree with that.
there's no way
Because
that
as
that's
we
not.
know, I actually was like just saying recently that I was pleasantly surprised. I went to go see The Devil Wears Prada last week, and
Oh,
that
did you?
it was not nostalgia bait. So for
I heard
anybody
it was
who is,
half half, but
I mean, they had lots of subtle references to the original film, and they had like a lot of the same notes of like, but it had its own plot.
yeah.
It was
I heard
good
it was
overall.
surprisingly good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was
I'd
very
like to go
impressed.
see it. I'd like to go see it.
Hmm.
Maybe I'll
Okay,
go.
so can we
Yeah.
dig more into this, the effect of it of social media, like the negative effects on boys versus girls? Because I think that that is super relevant, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think there's a fair amount of evidence that like didn't you said that self-harm, but I'm sure also disordered eating is correlated
Yeah.
with social media use in young
I
girls.
don't know that I have data about eating disorders specifically. I know that there was upward comparison and body
Hmm.
consciousness and just being self conscious and having low self esteem was very much related to the
Hmm.
amount of time spent on Instagram specifically is particularly bad for young girls. But I don't know that there's any, at least in the research I did,
Yeah.
stuff about eating
So I'm just
disorders.
looking.
I would be absolutely shocked if there weren't, especially
Yeah.
given, I think I described a study that I was involved in my early days of academia a couple streams ago about like eye tracking and thin model stuff in the words. I think I described that.
Hmm.
Anyways,
No. Yes. Yeah. The eye track. I remember you
yeah,
specifically talking about those studies.
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll share this. I'm not sharing my screen with you right now. Let me share it with you as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, sure,
But
sure,
it's,
sure, 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 sure.
was it more prevalent in girls with Snapchat and Tumblr accounts and boys with Snapchat? like we're still talking about Tumblr in 2020. Like that's what's so shocking to me. I'm like, haven't we like moved past
Tumblr
these
is
things?
so fucking messy and always has been, like very eating
Yes.
disordery.
And boys with Snapchat, Facebook, and Instagram were significantly more likely to have both DE behaviors, disordered eating behaviors, and over-evaluation of shape and weight in the clinical range. Interesting.
Wow.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not shocked in the slightest, but
Yeah.
it's kind of fucked when you see things that you're like, yeah, that's probably true, and you see it out there in black and white, and
And then you're
like,
like, true. Yeah.
it's almost a shame that it's just like, yep, it's what I expected, you know, like,
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
So okay. So why is it so we okay, girls are their negative self-image is being harmed significantly.
Yep.
Boys are being pushed to more aggressive behaviors. And also one of the things that I we pulled up was that boys are retreating into a virtual world. That's kind of what Jonathan Haidt said in his book. That was like the summary of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like I
Social
mean,
withdrawal is
I
a big one, and
yes,
yeah.
I like always go back to this reference. We talked about it when we talked did our Manosphere episode too of the Netflix show Adolescence. I feel like that's such a
Yeah.
poignant reference point for me. So I don't know. Why do we think it's aggressive behavior?
I would hypothesize that
Hmm.
video games are part of it, and not because of the nature of the actual game itself, but because of the online interaction that happens on virtual game platforms, especially like MOBAs. Is it MOBAs? MOBAs? That's a thing.
MOBAs?
People know what MOBAs are, right? Massively online battle arena? Question mark. Someone verify that for
Oh,
me.
okay.
Excuse me?
Is that what it is? Is it a MOBA?
Massive online battle arena.
That's what I said.
Sure.
Are you not
Okay.
listening?
Okay.
He's not even fucking
Okay.
listening.
I know like MMO. I
Did you
don't
reference
know
League of Legends
MOBA.
specifically?
Hi,
Uh,
Noah Talk. Welcome in.
yeah. Welcome in Noah Talk, multiplayer online battle arena. Right. So, I mean, Fortnite, League,
T. Okay. Yes.
COD,
Yeah.
the
Those
other
are
ones.
examples. Yeah. The other ones.
The other ones. But you hear how people speak to each other on them, and
Hmm.
even people, I've heard people that I know don't have values that reflect the words that are coming out of their mouths. And, like, I don't know, it begets something because there's like a visceral hatred. And, like, speaking as someone who has played the mobile version of League of Legends and been like, I don't engage in chat, I don't get why anybody would engage in chat, it's so toxic. Let me tell you, I engage a little bit in chat now. It's hard not to, because you're like, bro,
Hmm.
why? Bro, why are you doing
So
that?
wait, when did you start playing League of Legends? Like what?
Not League of Legends. I play Wild Rift, but it's just League of Legends on your phone.
Okay. Okay.
And when did I start playing it? I tried it first a couple of years ago, and then put it away until like February of this year. I'm halfway decent at it. I got up to Diamond, but apparently, like, Master level Wild Rift is like gold level Real League. Clicky League, I call it. Very bad at Clicky League. Can't play Clicky League. Is
I
it
have no idea
Moba,
what you're talking
that electronic music guy that had his head licked by Gwen Stefani? We're thinking
I
of
feel like
Moby. Here we are now going to the south side.
one second. Moby. This is not a reference I have. This is what?
Moby?
90s or early
No, this
2000s?
is mid aughts.
Head
Southside.
licked Gwen Stefani.
It's a
Just-
Moby song that featured Gwen Stefani. I would say that the aggression comes from the heightened fear of social rejection that comes from being chronically online. Yes, Moby. Yeah,
oh, with
Get a
a
Grip, I
Y.
think you're right. And I think there's a little bit of conformity and not wanting to be othered, which I guess is kind of probably what you're getting at with the social rejection. Um,
Interesting.
Yeah. There is less data on young boys than there is on young girls. And that's frankly because when you parse the data, the effects on young girls are proportionally much worse, just like they're bigger effects. So I think
Yeah.
the impetus to steer towards the bigger effect as researchers is probably pretty high. Um, and also, you want to address the more important issues. And I hate to say that girl stuff is more important than boy stuff because it's not. But if girls are self-harming and contemplating suicide and boys are, yelling at each other online, I'm going to be a little bit more concerned about whichever of them is risking their life more than risking their well-being. It's kind of a life over limb sort of situation. But it might be that they haven't uncovered a far worse issue in young boys, right? And it might be because they haven't fucking researched it. So
Yeah, I mean, I think we're like heading there, right? Like that toxicity is leading to it's changing culture, and I feel like the effects are much more downstream, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, especially I don't know. We talked about that a lot in the Manosphere episode, and a little bit in the AI and stuff like that. Apparently, there's increase in pornography-related compulsive behavior as well. So access to porn from an early age.
That's seriously.
Yeah. Okay. People of the audience.
Mm-hmm.
When was the first time you saw like true porn? Like either a magazine or like online porn? Like how old were you the first time that you saw that kind of stuff? Like for real, for real.
I'm trying to think about that for myself, actually.
14? 14 was the first time that you saw porn. That's wild.
Yeah, I was definitely in high school. I don't remember what age. I lived a very sheltered childhood, Alicia.
I remember. How old would I have been?
At least, is it single digits?
I was in grade school.
God, okay.
Certainly before high school.
Okay.
Okay, so someone had thrown out like massive piles of porn mags in
near your house on the street,
in a dumpster at the school that's across the street from where Carly's parents or Carly's father still lives. And I was visiting Carly, and we were like out in our snowsuits, like just bebopping around, and we were like, "What's that?" And it was like girls full blown like kind of thing. Like it was like hustler mags, not like tasteful Playboy spreads where they're like see a little bit of vulva. It was like some real shit. And I was like, yo, whoa. And then so we were like, we can't be seen with this. We were young enough to think we would get in trouble for finding the porn that was in the public dumpster. So whatever age that would be. But we were like, we kind of want to get into this because what the fuck is going on in there?
This is really crazy.
Why is she there? Why are there two of them? Why aren't they talking to each other? Legs like this?
Why aren't they
what's going on? Anyways, so we took a couple of the magazines, not a lot of them, and we hid them in this little spot that was kind of on the back side of like the garden shed for the groundskeeper of the place, where we could like we used to just kind of make a little fort. And we were like, we're going to put it in the fort. Okay, we'll put it in the fort and we'll come back later. And I remember going to her parents' house and being like, okay, cool, act cool. Just be normal, be normal. You didn't just see some like world-shattering, intimate photographs of adult women. And then we were like, can we go outside and play again? And it was like dark. He's like, it's dark. And we were like, yeah, we're just like playing night
flashlight
or something. And we went back and we like sat and just like really took it in. We're like, whoa, okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's the first time I saw real porn.
That's so... You know what I was probably younger because I'm realizing I might be outing somebody in my family, cough. But I remember being in my parents' bathroom and just like I was, this is before the age of you had your phone and you got on your phone when you were on the toilet. Yep. I was just like, oh, we used to always have magazines in the back of toilets, and I ended up finding one and I was like, what the heck is this? And it was like naked women. I was like,
How intense was it? Was it like just like
it was full nude. There was like
booby
bush
girls?
in some, not
Okay.
bush in others. Yes, like full. And I
But
was
like
like,
tasteful, or are we talking like Randy? No,
not tasteful.
not tasteful.
Not tasteful.
Old Man Filoni is probably 10 or 11 magazines milder ones, not hustler goodness. In a closet in the family house. They were not meant to be found. Yeah.
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 It's always the accidental occurrence. I was going to say, knowing what I know about Carly's parents, I'm curious to know if those were theirs, but maybe not.
I doubt it.
You doubt it, okay.
I doubt
Yeah.
it, but could be. If they were in
Maybe.
Carly's house, Carly would have found them. I'm like, there were mountains of them.
Got it, okay.
So I would be gobsmacked if we hadn't have already found them, because we used to just like get up to no fucking good in the house. So yeah. But yeah, having porn available on your phone. You go to Pornhub, it's just like, you 18? He's like, yeah, for sure, bro.
Yeah.
Like, how are
Do
they
we
verified?
consider Pornhub to be social media? That's a great question.
Whoa. No?
I mean, have you seen those comments section? They're like fighting for their lives. It is pure stream of consciousness. Just like the comment.
I think...
Mm-hmm.
What do I think? I think because of the performative nature of pornography, that it's kind of like Comic-Con, but on a screen. So like, you know, your favorite performers that aren't real celebrities will, you know, have a bi-directional interaction with their fans, kind of thing. In much the way, I guess, that we do / are on Twitch. Like,
Wait,
if this were...
that's more OnlyFans though. You're thinking OnlyFans. Pornhub, nobody's interacting with fans, really, unless you're like doing like cam girl stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's more what I'm thinking of, but also, like, you know, just comment section, you know, if someone comments on your, like, take YouTube and just pretend it's porn. Lots of the creators who get comments on their videos will comment back to their fans because it's engagement, right? It gets you views, regardless of whether it's good or not. So, is Pornhub social media? Maybe. Whoa, cam person, thank you. That's true.
Sorry. That's super fair. Thank you. I'm sure many of them are probably also non-binary or trans. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank you for the call.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I think the comments are probably very similar to our first ever YouTube comment. I've been exporting these Twitch videos to YouTube.
Yeah.
And I told you about this already?
Maybe.
The very first comment we ever got, I don't even remember what episode it was on, honestly.
Oh, this was back in the day. This isn't recent ones.
No, this is recent. This was like a month or two ago. It said, I need to see women! Exclamation point. With big breasts! Exclamation. All in caps. And I was like, that feels like something that should be under, like a comment under a Pornhub video. Isn't that the most chaotic shit? And I'm like, sir,
No,
this
it's
is
not. Oh my god, I want to frame it. Show Bob's.
I know,
Fuck
that's
yes.
so crazy, right?
Oh my god, show Bob's, please. No. Women! Exclamation. Oh my god, please, can I just... do you have them public, or are you just using YouTube?
They're public, yeah,
Okay.
they're public.
I just typed in you. Oh, it's a television show, not YouTube. Okay, that's
I can go find it for you at some point, but it really was. One was hilarious. It made my day, but also that's not just what I expect. I'm like, that's like the type of comments you see under. It's just like, what is going on?
I subscribed to our own channel. I'm so sorry.
Amazing, amazing.
Show fucking Bob's. That's great. I really like that. I think I've also been uploading some of the more recent ones, and how do I go to that? I don't know how to do this. Ugh. Channel dashboard. Someone left a comment that was like,
Do you sell women here? Jeez.
it was
Damn.
on our Fam Are We Cooked when it comes to AI, and someone said, you two won't be cooked at all. You always have the option to shack up with a high status guy. Average Joe, on the other hand, dot dot dot, he's cooked.
What does that mean?
What does it mean? I don't know. That was a month ago. You always have the option.
Not the high status
haven't-
male. That's manosphere bullshit. High status man.
Oh, he's a content creator? Is he? Oh, no, he's not. Ruthless discipline, mindset, motivation lifting,
Okay,
lifestyle.
you have to share your screen with me so I can share it with my viewers because I need to see what the hell you're talking about right now.
Okay, I'm gonna try and open it. Here, guys, I'll just drop the link. This is great. This is their YouTube channel, and it was just on the AI Neuralisha.
Where the hell is my mouse?
That's
Oh,
really
there,
funny.
come back.
Let me just. I'll drop the link to our Family We Cooked when it comes to AI video too, because that's where it is. And on the Manosphere episode too, like you could always shack up with a high status guy.
Oh, maybe it was irony then if it was on the
Oh
manosphere.
no, this guy for sure looks Manosphere. Success in dating, lifestyle, motivation lifting mindset, ruthless discipline. Like, no, certainly not. Certainly
Oh, God.
not.
It's giving like Jersey Shore energy so hard
Oh,
too.
this
Like
guy
I'm
loves
like,
Jaeger bombs for sure. Oh, 90-pound barbell
what does
curl?
invest in yourself mean? Investment. Okay, I can't. Stop it. Stop. Oh my god.
Oh my god, lifting mindset. Ah! Ah, that guy thinks Pornhub is social media for sure.
Did you just? What the hell just? Oh, it's your YouTube video game favor. I was like, why am I on your page all of a sudden? Dead. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to my actual notes. Okay, so the doom and gloom is that social media fucking ruined all of us, the protein shots. It ruined all of us, and
Including the protein shots.
including the protein
Especially them.
shots. But when it comes to LGBTQ plus youth, there's this kind of bi-directional, more like polarization of effects. So they are both more likely to be victims of bullying, unsurprisingly, having persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness that are related to cyberbullying and online kind of consuming content related to self-harm is a lot more tied to actual incidences of self-harm in individuals that are from the LGBTQIA plus community. And they're also more likely to encounter this self-harm related content, which means that their algorithms are knowing that they're from this demographic, knowing that they are more likely potentially to interact with that sort of content, feeding it to them more, which is thus making them potentially, correlation, not causation, but the incidence of watching or seeing self-harm related content and actually executing your own self-harm is much higher. So they're essentially making that behavior more likely to happen, which is really, really, really awful. However, in absence of a real life community, even if we just kind of take the fact that getting community when you're not part of a minority community within the broader one, being as that's difficult for everybody, it's even more difficult when you're from a niche community, and not having access to that in real life is a lot more likely when you're from, you know, some sort of sexual or gender minority, and the likelihood of being able to find kind of identity affirmation, community, or even like sources of information and understanding, you know, what's going on with me. Do I hate myself and hate my body because I'm being subjected to, you know, images that tell me my born as a female body isn't Kate Moss's body and therefore is bad? Or do I hate my body because I have gender dysphoria? and
I actually
decoding
think that's
that.
so relevant. I think like Tumblr growing up was such a stronghold for that. Honestly, to the
Oh,
point
big
that I had
time.
this hot take in my 20s that I was like, are we sure non-binary is not just something that like a bunch of people on Tumblr made up collectively? I was like,
Well, and I think it kind of is, and that doesn't
yeah.
make it any less a thing. Because
Yeah, that's true.
all of the gender is a construct. We all made it up. That one got made up on Tumblr. Ours got made up by some fucking muscle chud back in the
Yeah.
fucking
The
1500s or whatever.
Christian colonization 400
Right,
years ago. Yeah.
exactly. That's who decided that I'm a girl. I didn't decide I'm a girl. I don't give a shit.
Hmm.
You could call me it, they, them, whoever. I'm very proud of being a woman. I'm a deeply feminist, obviously. But if it was the other thing, it just wouldn't bother me, right? Which is probably pretty privileged of me, being from a
Old
gender.
Man Felonius just dropped some knowledge on us. 2026 is the first year the Canadian census included an open question on gender.
Even on the short form, let's
Look
go.
at
Love that.
Canada. I miss Canada so much,
Girls,
bro.
yeah,
They're so
Canada's so good.
I know it's not like they don't have all of their problems figured out, but it's like leagues ahead of the States in so many things. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, it's funny because they're so similar in so many ways, right? Like American culture is American culture, and Canada is
Yes.
part
Yeah.
of North America, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
unique to the United States. People in Canada, have the same concerns, broadly speaking, and interests and stuff like that. But there are some just like hard lines that are fucking different, man.
I think it's like Canada. I think it's like a good analogy in my head is that Canada is like kind of like the younger sibling
Mm-hmm.
to the US in that it tries to like mimic some aspects of it, right? So you go to Toronto and you will be reminded of Chicago or New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are plenty of people in Alberta who think that they are part of the United States. I'll be so real. But then it's also like because it's the younger sibling, it's got like more progressive like
Yeah.
politics and stuff, and it's more like inclusive and that kind of thing. And I'm like, it really is. Yeah.
I
Anyways,
think
I'm not
that's
gonna like.
probably the biggest identity difference is there's a little bit more I don't want to say open-mindedness because a lot of Americans are open-minded, but I think there's more of a different flavor of patriotism that I would say is more nationalism than patriotism because I'm not proud that I'm from Canada. I'm proud to be Canadian because being Canadian has in its identity being kind and friendly and
Yes.
outgoing and a whole bunch of
Yes.
that sort of stuff where and those are all things that a human being can be, whereas the American identity, and I'm saying this as someone that's not American but lives in America, really seems to be an American is to love your country, and it's more about how you project stuff about a non-human entity, freedom
Well,
and that sort of thing, right? Like if you don't
yeah.
espouse something that reflects the soil of the land and the flag and an eagle and that sort of thing, then you're not American enough. Whereas like
Yeah.
in Canada, the maple leaf was put on our flag like fucking 50 years ago. No, we're not like, oh, what, the leaf, it means so much to me. No one cares,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think like US culture is like hyper nationalistic, and I you don't realize it till you step away because like Canada's not saying the Pledge of Allegiance every morning in school like some like weird cult like chant.
Yeah.
And I think also, if we're gonna lean into gender differences as we often do on this show, this stream,
Yeah.
like you could actually say that like American patriotism is like has very masculine. It's like, oh, land of the brave, like blah blah blah.
Right.
We
Absolutely.
fight for our rights. We're very proud to be American. And then like it's a little bit more like feminine coded in Canada, right? It's
I
like,
mean, Justin
oh,
Trudeau, look at the man.
yes, we're very polite, and like Justin Trudeau has beautiful high cheekbones. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
Yeah, tell me
I
your
mean,
contour
yeah,
regime, king.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, like, that's also kind of why Canada kind of gets this thing of like, oh, they're like a pushover to the States. But at the same time, it's like, I know you don't need to be like an economic powerhouse to also to like actually have positive quality of life in living in a country. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So,
I mean,
yeah,
half of Europe is very good evidence of exactly that
this exact
fact,
phenomenon,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Old Man Felonious' hot take from having lived in the US for 6 years: one of the largest differences is American culture is based in fear, layers and layers of
So,
behavior with fear at its root.
please, yeah, please elaborate on that because I think that's very interesting. So the real Canadian is the Royal Canadian Kilted Yaxman from the Ren and Stimpy show.
God,
Okay. Now we have
I
to look it up.
yeah, please do. I never watched Ren and Stimpy because I didn't really watch TV. I don't know. I
Is that
never
the
watched like TV. It's like an adultish cartoon. It was kind of like Beavis
why
and
is this
Butthead
where am
kind
I
of thing,
typing?
right? I
Oh,
think that that's a fair take, and you can understand why, right? Like, it's a very guarded and defensive sort of societal sort of thing. Like, you
mm-hmm.
don't want your freedom taken from you. We earned our freedom and we're going to guard it, right? And perhaps rightfully so, right? There's a whole ass war, right? Revolutionary War. There was a Revolutionary War.
There was a war. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you guys were
Whereas
like, nah.
Canada, yeah, Canada got to go like where like they just kind of got removed from the Commonwealth because the Commonwealth was kind of dissolving
Yeah, they're
essentially.
like, we'll
I mean,
keep
not
you on
removed.
our money, we'll put you in
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Constitution, but you're just a figurehead, run away.
Yeah. So there's yeah, there's all this like it's very like this like aggressive like oh
Yeah, it's
everything
kind
is
of
like
baked into that
yes.
which is America.
Yes. I will not be oppressed. You're infringing on my rights like constantly.
Yeah, can you imagine if they tried to
Okay.
put someone on the money that wasn't one of the old white guys that did America? They'd fucking riot. There's a black
They
lady
put
on a
it
fucking $10 bill
they
in
put
Canada.
they put Harriet Tubman on a bill recently, I think.
Did they?
That actually might have maybe that was planned.
I think
Obama
it
had
got
it
shot down then. I'm not
Trump came in
100%
and was
sure.
like, let me really quickly before we watch this. Harriet Tubman dollar. Redesigning the $20 bill to feature a move originally announced in 2016. Designs are not expected until 2030. That's not going to happen. Our economy is going to crash in the next few years. That's not going to happen. Okay.
It's going to be print
Let's
your
watch this.
money at home, guys, using
Yes.
your own inkjet printer that you have to subscribe to the ink for.
Oh my god.
All right, let's
Okay.
go watch this music video.
Our country reeks of trees. Our yaks are really large, and they smell like rotting beef carcasses. And we have to clean
This is
up
so random, Stimpy. I love this.
after them. And our saddle sores are the best. We proudly wear
Pizza. I'm in trouble 'cause I don't have a
women's
printer at
clothing
home.
and searing
I used a printer today. I
samples
used a
of our
scanner.
skirts. And the buzzards, they soar over
The buzzards.
head and
Do
poisonous
we have buzzards in
snakes
Canada?
will devour
We need to fact
I
check
don't
old
think
Ren and
so.
Stimpy here,
our
man.
bones will bleach
I
in
don't
the
think we do.
sun.
Oh, there's a video too. We're just getting this like
We will probably go.
okay, that's chaos. Anyone
Yeah,
who
that's
doesn't know
chaos.
that's the tune of
I love it.
Canadian anthem. They've just
But-
changed it for fun. Ezra Pizza, welcome in. I have been clinging to the same printer I've had since 2014 when I went to college, and it has literally saved my life so many times because I don't know. I feel like most of the people of my generation do not have a printer anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have needed to use that printer so many times. And you know what's also crazy? Another Canada versus US thing. Canada has like modernized and digitized so many of their processes like at the like bureaucratic government
Oh,
level, but the US has
absolutely.
not. It is so
I had
frustrating.
to mail my taxes.
Yes.
Mail
Literally.
them. In the mail. I had to
In
get
the
a
mail.
stamp and put it It was in an envelope in the mail. What?
Sorry, to the for the US, you mean?
Yeah.
Because you're
The
yeah.
USPS, the Postal Service. I had to use that bad boy. They have cute little trucks, though. Pretty adorable. Yeah. Can you go to a Staples or something? Yeah, I think you could. It's just you would have to go to a Staples instead of printing it at your house. I've always printed stuff at the lab. Like I've never.
Yeah.
I'm like I'm not paying for this ink or this paper.
I
This
do be
toner.
using that work printer.
Yeah.
I said it might cost me 3 cents, but I don't care.
Yeah. Oh wait, you have to pay for it at work?
Yeah, I mean, at our previous institution, no, but here, yes.
Yeah. I mean that makes sense. They're probably trying to discourage just paper because California.
Yeah. In general.
Okay, there's a couple of other things. We only have 15 minutes. I want to pick my more interesting.
Yeah, I'm like
stuff.
popping through these studies to see if there's anything that's like I want to specifically highlight right now.
Disordered eating outcomes. I did have one from 2016.
Ah!
That's pretty old.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that we're gonna. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, body dissatisfaction, lower self-esteem. All of these have like essentially the same title apparently.
So
Communication systems. Sorry. Yeah, I think it is interesting that like because and I mean like technology is so essential, right? To I mean we talk about this. We talk about how we had to do our dissertations as compared to how our predecessors had to do our dissertations. The lab technician who used to be in the lab, our supervisor, how they used to just like have to actually physically go into a library. So I know that like schools obviously have like essentially introduce more technology into the home. Often I think it's very common now for schools to like provide Chromebooks to students or even like iPads to students.
that's crazy.
But yeah, but I mean like they're also providing them a tool which like I don't know what limitations they have on it necessarily, but I know that a lot of students use them as like their own personal and they like use them for social media and stuff, and like they're essentially like schools are now introducing this like hazard into the home environment.
Yeah, I think there's this concept of behavioral activation and behavioral inhibition systems that kind of determine a little bit like when you engage and when you don't engage. And tipping the scales in one direction or the other, like things like this are balanced over usually a normal curve. There's going to be some people that are going to be just kind of naturally super mega hyper vigilant and really defend, and there's going to be people that are really risk taking and novelty seeking and all of that sort of thing. And what some experts are hypothesizing is that those that are born after 1995 were raised at a critical time when parenting was about protecting the child against kind of any and all harm. And this kind of circles back to the Jonathan Haidt thing, saying that we've like over coddled and protected.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that sort of thing. But there was like apparently some woman that like let her kid walk to the store and like straight up got arrested and charged with like child negligence or something for letting her kid just do something that like would have been utterly normal in our childhood. And
wait, when? What?
It was, I don't know, someone mentioned this in one of the podcasts I was listening to, and I think I was in one of the warm states. That's how specific I can get.
Got it. Okay, one of the warm states. Amazing.
But allegedly this happened. And I guess the idea is that kids don't walk to school alone. You can't trust, like stranger danger was a huge thing in the 80s and 90s, right? Like I remember being told like, you know, if a stranger adult comes to you, you have to have a code word, and if they don't know the code word, you don't go with them, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so because John Benet Ramsey and all that kind of stuff, like fair stranger danger. But now all the stranger danger is online, but because it's not physically threatening at the very first kind of thing, like you can see the tie between go with stranger into van, get candy, die. That's very closely related, like get kidnapped.
Yeah.
You can, it's easy for your brain to make that connection and to learn that lesson Pavlovianly, right?
Yeah.
But when you divorce the result from the action and you're like, oh, this kid's going on Snapchat or whatever the fuck, and they're getting groomed by someone they've only ever met online, and it's not harming them for, let's say, months. And then they say, maybe we should meet up in real life. Maybe we should do this. Or they encourage them to engage in some sort of harmful behavior without ever meeting them physically. And that's the harm that's happening to kids, right?
I don't know if we've talked about, like, are we talking about this as much as we used to? Like, the Dateline type of thing where it's like kids talking to, I feel like this was such a thing when I was a teenager, about kids talking to adults posing as kids online and then not, and then like saying, oh, we should meet up. And then it's like a pedophile.
Yeah, I don't know. I was never really up on my Dateline, so I can't say what's going on Dateline. But like,
wait, do you know what I'm saying when I say Dateline?
Yeah, it's like 60 Minutes, right?
No. It's where it's like where the guy goes to like pedophiles' houses and like finds them doing things.
But that's not all Dateline is. Is it? God.
Am I having a stroke?
Oh yeah. So
No.
Roblox is, Get a Grip brought up Roblox, which is straight up for children. And adult human beings will go on there and prey on children. That's a social media, according to experts.
Yes.
New playgrounds in some European countries are being built to be deliberately hazardous to teach children how to navigate risky situations. Right, and risk, that's a great word, and I'm really glad that you brought that in, Old Man Felonious, because I think learning how to navigate risk is probably one of the things that, or did you find out the
Sorry,
answer?
yes. Apparently I'm talking about To Catch a Predator. Why am I having,
Very
I don't know.
different shows. Okay, Dateline is
totally.
like 60 Minutes, right? Like,
yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yes.
Crazy.
I mean, Chris Hansen. I don't know why. Anyways, that was such a weird.
Anyway, I think they would have covered stuff like that on Dateline occasionally.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But,
I don't know why I did that.
That's hysterical. I love it. I absolutely love it.
She did.
Man, I was so into the John Benet Ramsey scandal when there was like the 25-year of her disappearance and murder went past.
Oh,
and
yes.
They reopened the investigation in like 2015, something like that. I was like so deep in it. Oh my god.
I know. I rewatched one of those documentaries recently, and I was just like, how did they not find it? And also, it's like 95% that it was one of the people that lived in that house. Like,
it was the brother. It was the brother. People know it's the brother, right?
No, tell us, Alicia.
Well, so okay, the writing in the note that was allegedly left by the killer is a dead ringer match for, I can't remember if it's mom or dad's handwriting. So like for sure they wrote it. And the son had some like fuckery going on with him. I can't remember the exact nature of it. But they were like not okay, I think, with Jean Benet being like pretty princess of the world, you know, sort of thing, and hurt their sister grievously. The parents were like, "Oh fuck!"
And so they're
gonna take my kid and put it in juvie, and they're going to blame us for being a terrible parent and letting one of our kids kill our other kid.
Yeah,
and then we're gonna be like eviscerated in the media. They're already kind of public figures in their area because, you know, they're in the pageant scene and stuff like that. So they cover it up to cover their own asses and to keep their son out of the system, which I kind of get. Not saying that it was the right call, but I kind of get it. If that is indeed what happened. But like, it's the brother.
You're like, it's pretty sure it's what happened. I mean, that theory does make the most sense, essentially. Yeah, it was like, people were like, is it the dad, like all this stuff? But yeah, I mean, like there also was some conversations about like her body just being like in the middle of the basement floor like didn't make sense either. So like absolutely, if her body had been moved, it would have made way more sense.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and some of the, I think, ligature marks on her were supposed to be like potentially post-mortem and meant to
Oh
look
yes.
like she was kidnapped and bound and stuff like that. And but because of the nature of the testing back then, and crime science and forensics, it just wasn't advanced enough at the time to make
Yeah.
that conclusive call. And because
Yeah.
of the nature of the burden of proof and that sort of thing in the justice system, innocent until proven guilty, and it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And there was a reasonable enough doubt, I guess, in that justice system at the time. But
Sorry, before we wrap up here, I think there's two really good questions that have come up if we're a little
Yes,
getting
yes,
back on
yes.
topic. So, okay. Get a Grip asked, if we protect them from all harm, won't their brains just make up perceived harm and threat? So this is in relation to like coddling kids. And then Old Man Felonius asked, do you think the ability to navigate risk is something that has been dulled or stunted by using social media platforms?
100% Old
Uh,
Man Felonious.
I mean, I think our ability to troubleshoot, I think like cognitive skills overall have been dulled probably, and so with that, risk navigation, but I don't think explicitly by itself maybe.
I mean, to me, it's the notion of being told not to touch the stove because it's hot, and knowing not to touch the stove because it's hot. Those are both going to teach you the same eventual thing about the nature of that risk, but one of them is going to literally be encoded in your brain far more intensely than the other. So when you tell a child, particularly, and especially a teenage person, especially a teenage young man, to that's why insurance is higher on young men, right? Like, because you can be like, don't drive fast, will die
Yeah.
more for sure, much more risky, and they're like, not gonna do it anyway, right? Like, on average, right? Obviously there's exceptions and stuff like that, but it takes some finding out and getting in some whoopsies and having that personal experience for yourself for your brain to actually go vroom.
Car go vroom.
Car go
Car go vroom.
Car does go vroom. Don't like that truck. Don't like that guy. Love that. Love that. I think it's kind of unequivocally true that you need experience of things to truly learn things. You can only learn so much from being told or reading or hearing or that sort of thing. Go vroom.
I don't know if you clocked that, but I did it in your tone of Carrot goes down.
Yeah, I
Carrot
did.
goes down.
Carrot goes down. I love
That is
I found all
the
these
most
videos.
watched clip on our channel, by the way, is Carrot goes down.
I think like 19 of them are me. Just watching Carrot goes down. Carrot goes down. A classic
Carrot goes down.
clip. Yeah. The rubber chickens one, I was so glad I found that. What a fucking gem. Oh, gorgeous clip. Absolutely gorgeous clip. Yeah, and then what was the other question that Get a Grip had? Oh yeah, if we protect them from all harm. What do you think?
I'm not sure. Will their brains, I mean, you could think about it like our generation and the previous generation, right? Of like the previous generation suffered in different ways and therefore they perceive harm differently. So like, yes, to say make up, I mean, maybe they will be hyperfixated on minor things. So financial instability as opposed to like actual poverty is going to be the same level of threat, maybe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they'll be perceived as the same because it's relative to your own personal
Yes.
experience, kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. That's what.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think I would tend to agree with that. Shock of a lifetime. We agree.
What? We agree? Stop.
No, certainly not.
Yeah. Sorry, just to fill Noah Talk in, there's some clips on both my channel and I think Alicia's channel as well that we took a 2-year hiatus, and there's clips from when we were streaming 2 years ago when we were in person, and just like we just used to have a lot of tangents. We still have tangents, as you can tell, and one of them was about the way that a carrot, caret, in like when you're inserting something into
Text kind of thing. Yeah.
text, I guess, like what direction it goes. And then there's another clip of us talking about, I don't even know how we got on talking about rubber chickens. Rubber chickens with the
There is no
rosary of rubber
context in
chickens.
that one. It's just
Zero context. But I found, and I to this day I stand by that. Sick. A rosary made of rubber chickens. I would, if someone got that for me, made that for me, gave it to me, I would be
Right?
like, bro, this is
Like,
the
Hail
fucking.
Mary,
I would
full
wear
of
it every
oh.
Halloween. Yes.
Um, yeah, those are the good old days. I had so much fun. I have fun doing this now, but in real life is very fucking different. And all I want in life is for there to be a supercut of your reactions to just some of the dumb shit that comes out of my mouth. Because, like, I'll say things that, like what I said earlier, like the kids can
The
get
children,
unfucked or
they're
whatever.
unfuckable.
Yeah. And your face will go, or you'll be like, oh, and your head will tilt. And there's just so many where you do like quintessential Layla stuff. And sometimes you'll say it to your, like, it'll be something you say, and then you'll be like, oh, and you'll like kind of interrupt yourself and be like, maybe not.
Just kidding.
Old
Man Felonious.
That was a good one.
Old Man Felonious has written it down in the lore books of
Yes.
We Agree, May 12th, 2026.
Put it in the official text. We agree.
Forever.
I love
Would
that.
you like to raid out, Mademoiselle?
Yeah. Who we got?
Yeah, let me go look. Let me go look.
As always, people pop into our Discord and let us know if there's other topics you want us to cover, or if there's topics that we already covered that you think that we should touch on again. Maybe we won't do a whole nother episode, but if you're like, you guys didn't talk about this, that's a really good point. Maybe we'll listen to you, or maybe we won't. We probably will.
Something about a science hype train. I don't know
Oh,
what that is.
girl, I love Science Hype Train. Yeah. Yeah, they're in a level 2 hype train. Let's fucking go. All right, let's go science. We haven't. I think
Let's do
like
it.
3 streams ago we went to sciences. Okay, how do we do this again? Fuck's sakes.
Or /raid.
Okay, I'm just gonna get ready and then we'll say our little goodbyes.
/raid.
Stick around, people.
The last time I tried to do this, though, it
Do I have
did
to put
not
the
work,
at? Do I have
so-
to put the at?
No, it's just /raid, and then you put the name. If somebody tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay, I hope that's
Childemoiselle?
Childemoiselle, the opposite of mademoiselle. Yeah. Relaxed.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I think I did it. Okay, yeah. Thank you everyone for being here. Please stick around for the raid. If you're not already familiar with Science, they're one of our faves. They're a Twitch ambassador. They're science creators.
Yeah.
They are a husband, wife, and now 2 kids. Science duo. They do all kinds of really cool stuff. So yeah, please stick around so that we can support them. And yeah, this has been Vulgar Science with Neuralicia.
With Layla and Layla Shah.
I shouldn't do the thing. It should always be you, and that's why.
No, you did it. I was so proud of you. I was like wondering. I was like, is she gonna do it too?
Am I gonna try it? I don't know.
Okay.
Anyways, okay.
Thank you guys for being here as always.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much, chat. We
Bye.
love hearing from you. Bye. Yeah. A raid has been created. Oh yeah. Let's go.
I think because you're hosting, I can't
bring
do
you.
it. I think you bring everybody.
Okay. I have to.
Because I type it and then it doesn't do it, so.
unsubscribe. Or not unsubscribe. I have to turn it off. I'm still.